Hello, I'm Jeff Thielman, President and CEO of the International Institute of New England. Welcome to our Town Hall webinar, Leading with Resilience, Adapting Our Work to Meet the Moment. Over the past 9 months, the federal immigration landscape has shifted in significant ways. Refugee admissions have been halted. The government has ended the legal status of hundreds of thousands of immigrants whom the U.S. was protecting for humanitarian reasons from countries such as Afghanistan, Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Syria. It is now much more costly to seek asylum and more expensive and time-consuming for immigrants to adjust their status in the United States. Congressional actions have resulted in an immigration and customs enforcement, or ICE, budget that is now larger than most of the world's militaries. Travel is now banned from a number of nations experiencing humanitarian crises, and an attempt was made to end the constitutional right to birthright citizenship. These federal policy changes have created uncertainty and real harm for the refugees and immigrants in our communities. These changes also have directly affected how we do our work at the International Institute of New England. Federal funding has decreased. New rules and regulations have impacted who we can help and how. And meanwhile, the needs of our clients are as significant as ever. Today, October 1st, marks the start of IINE's new fiscal year, as well as the start of the federal fiscal year. In addition, today is day one of the first federal government shutdown in 7 years. We don't know yet what impact this will have on refugees and immigrants, but our experience has been that the most vulnerable people in society, including the people we serve, will suffer the most. As we have always done, we will pivot as needed to provide critical services to refugees and immigrants wherever they need us most, and that approach will guide us into 2026 as well. In today's webinar, I'll provide an overview of our work over the past year and what our services will look like today. You'll then have the chance to hear directly from program leaders who are closest to the on-the-ground work, the managing directors from each of our 3 sites, the senior director of our Immigration Legal Services program, and the director of our Shelter Services program. They will share what they are seeing and hearing and how our work will look different in the year to come. We will also share opportunities for you to get involved with IINE. Just a note that this webinar is being recorded, and we'll share the recording over email by the end of this week. Since our founding in 1918, the International Institute has focused on creating opportunities for refugees and immigrants to rebuild their lives in the United States and contribute to communities throughout the region. This work extends beyond resettlement to include education, employment support, and immigration legal services. Our clients put down roots in Massachusetts and New Hampshire after fleeing life-threatening danger and unlivable conditions in their home countries. New England is their chance to rebuild their lives in safety. IINE's work has always been possible through a public-private partnership. We rely on federal funds and community support to provide life-changing care to refugees and immigrants. Nowadays, with federal funding significantly lower than in recent years, our community partnerships and private philanthropy are more valuable than ever. We are especially grateful for local healthcare organizations, employers, schools, community groups, foundations, and the members of our board and leadership council, many of whom are with us this afternoon. And of course, to each of you, our community of supporters, your compassion and investment in our mission make this work possible. I'd like to take a moment to show you our mission in action. Our theory of change begins when newcomers first arrive in the United States, but it doesn't end there. Resettlement is just the first chapter. True integration takes time, trust, and ongoing support. As we help families stabilize in the short term, we also plan for the long term. Through English classes, skills training courses, employment support, and legal services, we help immigrants to reach self-sufficiency and become full participants in their new home. Many of our clients come back to us when new needs arise, whether because they are ready to apply for citizenship, are hoping to pursue post-secondary education, or want to take the next step in their career. That's why we call it a continuum of care. Our support is ongoing, extending from the moment they arrive to years later. It's this theory of change that helps our clients continue to find opportunity here, which strengthens communities all across the region for all of us. Despite near constant changes to immigration policy at the federal level, our team was still able to deliver critical services to more than 12,000 refugees and immigrants this past year. That includes 223 refugees who were able to arrive in the United States before the program was halted on January 20th by President Trump. Our staff greeted them at the airport, brought them to fully furnished apartments where a warm meal was waiting for them, and have been by their side ever since, helping with medical care, school enrollment, and connecting them with all the necessary services as they rebuild their lives in New England. We also helped 60 families move out of the Massachusetts emergency shelter system and into stable housing. This move was huge for these families. With a permanent address, they had the stability they needed to pursue jobs, education, and long-term independence. This year, we also taught English to over 1,300 students at every level, supported 2,000 job seekers with creating resumes, prepping for interviews, and receiving training to access career pathways in fields like healthcare, hospitality, and construction. We provided legal services to more than 2,100 clients, including filing over 300 refugee and asylee green card applications. None of this work would have been possible without the generosity of our communities. In a year of new challenges, our supporters stepped up. Across Lowell and Boston, 7 groups of volunteers came together to form community sponsorship teams. Working hand in hand with our staff, they welcomed newly arrived families, providing guidance and friendship as they adjusted to life in the United States. 2025 was also a record-breaking year for volunteerism. 449 volunteers dedicated their time to tutoring youth, delivering food, driving clients to doctor's appointments, and through our new volunteer advocacy groups, helping fight for legislation that supports immigrants. And that advocacy is more critical than ever. At the state level, we contributed to some important wins. The Massachusetts legislature passed $10 million in funding for ESOL programs and approved an additional $5 million for the Legal Defense Fund, which helps immigrants access legal representation. So now we're here, the start of the 2026 fiscal year. And a question we are hearing often from our community is, who are your clients today? With immigration becoming so restricted, people are wondering who there is left to serve. The truth is, there are still thousands of refugees and immigrants who need our help. This includes refugees and other immigrants who arrived in New England in recent years, and importantly, have stable legal statuses. This means their status is permanent and often comes with a pathway to citizenship. For this group, our focus is on the support that extends beyond stabilization. It's the services they need to truly integrate into our communities. Today, we are supporting more than 1,500 refugees, and we also have been welcoming some Afghans who are coming to the U.S. with special immigrant visas. This is a special visa given to Afghans who have been allies to the U.S. government. We're seeing growing demand from immigrant communities across the region. As federal policy targets their safety, they are increasingly seeking reliable, trusted organizations like IINE, who they know will connect them with the resources, classes, and the support they need. As we enter the new year, we're also thinking about what we might do differently. We are using the current situation as an opportunity to dig deeper in 5 key service areas. Resource centers. We're creating community-based walk-in centers, including a new center in Lowell, where immigrants can access support for basic needs and get connected to other services. Children and youth programming. We're strengthening mentoring and youth programming to create a strong foundation for the next generation. Advanced English support. We're helping students to reach the proficiency needed to earn a GED or pursue higher education. Upskilling. We're expanding training that moves adults beyond entry-level jobs and into careers in high-demand fields like healthcare and manufacturing. Legal protection and advocacy. We're helping more people secure permanent residency and citizenship while also raising our voice at the city, state, and federal levels to secure funding and protections for our immigrant community members. These priorities reflect the support our clients currently need most and where we feel our organization can have the most lasting impact. At this point, I'd like it to turn it over to my colleague, Senior Vice President and Chief Advancement Officer, Zan Weber. Zan has been with IINE since 2008, and over her tenure has overseen our client programming and now our fundraising. Zan will be leading some of our senior staff in a panel discussion about our work today.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for joining us for this special update about our clients and our work. As Jeff mentioned, I've been with IINE for over 18 years, including during Donald Trump's first presidency. At that time, I was the head of our programs, so I saw firsthand how his administration's changes to federal immigration policies impacted our clients, our staff, and our work. Today, we're going to take a closer look at what the changes this time around underway mean and how our team is adapting on the ground. I'm grateful this evening to be joined by our program leadership, who will share their unique insights in leading our current work and pivoting to meet our clients' needs. After their remarks, we'll spend some time answering your questions, so please feel free to use the Q&A feature, and we'll get to as many as we can. But now I'd like to turn it over to our panelists, and I'm going to introduce them one by one. Chiara St. Pierre, our Senior Director of Immigration Legal Services. Jessica Cerrone, Director of Community Engagement and Shelter Services. Henry Harris, Managing Director of our Manchester office. Caroline Rowe, Managing Director of our Lowell office. And Hannah Oda, Managing Director of our Boston office. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to jump right in. As Jeff shared, we keep getting the question of whether we have anyone to serve right now that immigration pathways are so restricted. So for my first question, who have you been serving recently? And as you respond, if you can also share what you're hearing from your clients and what their most urgent needs are, we'd appreciate it. So Caroline, let me start with you.
Great. Thank you, Zan. In Lowell, we had an Afghan family of 9 arrive 2 weeks ago, and we are serving refugee clients that arrived over the last 2 years. Afghan clients who arrived during Afghan arrivals 3 years ago, and Haitian clients that have arrived in the last year. Many clients are fearful, regardless of their status, and many are afraid to leave their homes and go into public. Many of our clients' most urgent need right now is food, as SNAP access and funding is changing.
Thank you. And we're going to talk about that more. But Henry, let's go to you.
Well, with no new arrivals coming in, we're mainly serving folks that are here. So we've got a large population of Afghan clients and Congolese and a lot of others as well. But those are the kind of the largest groups here. And we are mainly serving them through a program called Refugee Social Services, which is a program designed to support families up to 5 years post their arrival, where we provide all the services to help keep them self-sufficient and on track for, getting jobs and enrolling kids in school. And so that includes, participation in English classes and employment services and just keeping people in a stable position so that they have a chance to be successful.
Okay. So those are the populations in Manchester we're serving today. Hannah, what about you? What about Boston?
Yeah, in Boston, we're seeing refugees who have arrived within the last couple years. We also have a slow stream of Afghan SIV holders who have traveled through community connections, and Haitians who arrive before January. Their needs are a mix of emergency support like food and housing, and also long-term stability supports like employment services and English classes. What they're saying, well, some of them are expressing despair for coming here for safety and now feeling like things have really changed and no longer feeling safe in the place where they came to seek refuge.
Thanks, Hannah. And I know that today we're waiting on a presidential determination on the size of the FY26 resettlement program. And that will have a big impact on our work going forward. But you mentioned, and I think Jeff may have mentioned this earlier, that we're accepting SIVs. Can you just again explain what a special immigrant visa means?
Yeah, so folks from Afghanistan who worked with the US military and now may be targeted by the Taliban are able to apply for a special visa to be able to resettle in the United States. Previously, they were part of the refugee resettlement program, and some were arriving. They were arriving through different ways because it was a difficult situation. So folks now have the visa in their passport, they're able to travel, but their travel is no longer sponsored.
Okay. Okay, going back to who we're serving, Kiara, how about legal?
Sure. Within the legal department, we honestly serve a variety of immigrants with various status, although the bulk of our clients are actually refugees and asylees, and we're supporting them with their green cards and then eventually citizenship. We also serve Afghans who were evacuated in 2021 and post 2021 when Kabul fell. Many of them are special immigrant visa holders. We serve parolees who entered the United States legally under Biden era programs.
Okay. Jess, how about shelters?
So in shelter services, we serve families that have been moved from emergency shelters into permanent housing with the assistance of a state-based program called Home Base. Most of our clients are Haitians that entered the US at the Mexican border and have a temporary status called humanitarian parole. But we also serve a lot of other families that are all immigrants with various status. Most clients are expressing a need with continued rent assistance, immigration legal services, and the need for employment assistance.
Okay. Well, thank you all for sharing those details, because it sounds like we're serving thousands of individuals and families who are still working to make a life in the US. But it sounds also like some are even struggling to stay in the US. And Kiara, on that note, with all the recent changes to immigration policy, can you help explain the policy changes that have had the biggest impact on our clients?
Of course. I'm not going to touch on everything because there has been so many. Some of the largest impact, though, that we've seen, I'm going to start with the expansion of expedited removal, which was announced by the Trump administration on January 20th, 2025, his first day in office. It was announced via executive order and later published in the Federal Registrar, and it expanded expedited removal for undocumented immigrants to allow one, anywhere in the United States, essentially. They could be eligible for expedited removal, and two, who cannot prove that they resided in the United States for at least 2 years. It applies to anyone who entered unlawfully, which means crossing the border, but it also applies to individuals who were paroled in and then later had their parole status revoked by the current administration. It's important to note that expedited removal is a Department of Homeland Security process, and it completely skips over the courts. Individuals are deported without an immigration court hearing or an appearance in front of an immigration judge. So the fact that it was expanded in such a huge way is having a major impact on the administration's ability to deport people quickly. And it's scary. Other impacts that we're seeing are the mass firings of immigration judges. Every court in the country has been impacted. The halting of the refugee resettlement program, the big beautiful bill removing public benefits for the majority of immigrants, including recently arrived refugees. Green card holders or lawful permanent residents are still eligible for benefits, which is one of the reasons we in legal are pushing to file as many green card applications for those who are eligible. Within the communities, obviously the ICE raids and apprehensions, it's on the news. I know that we're all very familiar with it. Without a judicial warrant or any regard for due process is really stroking fear in all immigrant communities, regardless of status. Refugees and asylees are now being called to interview for their green cards. This is a brand new policy and something that directly impacts our work at IINE because we serve so many refugees and asylees. Previously, the interview was discretionary and it was almost always waived by the Department of Homeland Security. Now, under the current administration, every single refugee and asylee applying for a green card has to go to interview. The reason this is such a big deal is number one, the resources needed for that. They need to have interpreters if they don't speak the language. It takes time. They need to go with an attorney or a Department of Justice accredited rep. So there's a huge impact on everybody working with these communities. It's also forcing many of these refugees to relive trauma that they might have already been through and kind of relive their past that got them here to the United States. So that has had a major impact on our work as now we are prepping clients for these very combative interviews at the Department of Homeland Security with USCIS. So those are some of the most impactful changes that we've seen.
Well, thank you for sharing those. I feel like each one of those impact areas could have its own webinar because they're
I
so
agree.
dramatic. But because it is actually so complex, even though you described it so clearly, and it can be hard to understand, it can also be hard to sort of absorb what it actually means. So I want to ask next, can anybody share a story that illustrates how funding shifts have affected your clients?
Yeah, I can share a story of a client from Shelter Services. We have a new Haitian client. She is a single mom that has temporary protected status, which is set to expire this coming February. She has a nonverbal son that has autism spectrum disorder. She has been working for the last year, but was laid off from her job in August, and since then has been saving money and looking for a job so she can pay her rent. She has enrolled her son in a supportive school and is actively looking for a job, which we're helping her with. But she's aware her status is going to expire or likely expire and isn't sure what that's going to mean for her son, who is a citizen. She doesn't feel that Haiti's safe. It's a safe option and certainly not for him. He's never been there. And she's afraid that if she's deported, that he'll end up in a foster system here in the US without her. So it's very scary, as Kira said.
Yeah, but I guess it's such a important reminder of how integral status is to someone's experience in the US. Hannah, did you also have a story?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of stories that have kind of similar trends. We had so many Haitians come to our state and we invested in skill building and employment, and their statuses were revoked. And so we're at a huge loss because now they're not able to stay. I'll use a pseudonym for my story to keep the person's identity private. I'm going to call him John Pierre. John Pierre is a husband and a father of 2 children back in Haiti. He arrived in the US in July 2024 after narrowly escaping gang violence, and he entered through the Haitian Humanitarian Parole Program. He arrived during an influx of Haitian arrivals, and he was on the wait list for English classes, but he started working with an employment case specialist while he was waiting for his work authorization document to arrive in the mail. Finally, after waiting for his work authorization document to arrive, he got a part-time job at Tate, our favorite bakery in Boston. And he got a part-time job there, but they noticed his work ethic and he was promoted to full-time work pretty quickly. And then after a couple months on the job, his work authorization was revoked. And so he was no longer work authorized and he was let go from the job. So it's really sad. He was really thrilled to start being able to provide for his family. He was trying to find a way for them to get out of Haiti. And now he can't work and he's living in constant fear of being deported and sent back to Haiti. And he's really afraid that if he gets back there, the gangs will find him and he'll be in serious danger. So I can go on with with more about Jean Pierre, but I will say he's still connected to our services. We have digital literacy classes. He does attend regularly, and he's trying to be hopeful, but he does live in fear pretty much from day to day.
Thanks, Hannah. I think you also bring up, I mean, not only what's happening to him and how hard it is, but the impact of the entire state and communities having invested in so many new people and what they lose when status is revoked and there's so much uncertainty about whether those people can even stay in the country.
Yeah.
Carolyn, let's move to you.
Yeah, so the stories you heard from Hannah and Jess are the same stories for all of our Haitian clients. We have a number of Haitian clients who were former doctors or nurses back in Haiti who went through our certified nursing assistant training program, which instead of a 100-hour course is a 200-hour course and has an ESOL component. So we had a large number of Haitian clients that came and did the certified nursing assistant training program, investing in their career development to become back into the healthcare field here in the US. Completed the training program and were able to get jobs as CNAs in our community, but then were laid off due to status. So it's yeah, been a big challenge for all of our Haitian clients.
Okay, thank you. Henry, how about Manchester?
Yeah, very similar experiences here. I think, like most Americans, a lot of our clients are in the same, one or two paychecks away from a major financial hardship. And with all this uncertainty, there's a lot of fear from our families. And, they're hanging in the best they can, but at some point with these potential programs going away, you're going to see families having to make a decision between putting food on their table or paying rent. But these things also have program collateral damage as well. We had an entire cohort of LNA students who were approved for tuition under some grants, and then suddenly on their first day in class, they were actually sitting in class, and we discovered that they were no longer eligible for their tuition assistance. So the clock's running, the students are there, they're excited to get on with their career and their education, and we had to behind the scenes throw a lot of things together to make up for what wasn't there, because we really felt, with New Hampshire having a huge nursing shortage, and that these people had put a lot of time and sweat equity into their careers, we couldn't leave them hanging. So we had luckily a very wonderful community partner foundation came in and helped us with that particular need. But we have two more cohorts launching in January and February where we're going to have to get really creative to keep those things. So it's hard to predict right now because there's so much unplugging of things and you can't always know how these things work systematically until you actually see it unfold in the moment. And it's very challenging.
Well, thank you for that sort of story, because I think it just highlights so many different things. One is the importance of our donor and supporter community, which sounds like really stepped in to change this person's life. But I know that that's, there's no way to replace all the federal funding that is impacting our clients and that is changing our services. So on that note, let's shift to the Institute, and I'll ask, how are our services transitioning? And Kiara, you want to start us off?
Sure. Like all programs at IINE, legal has lost funding. So what we are trying to do internally is to focus on where we can do the most good with the least amount of support, trying to be as efficient as we can be. And right now, in all honesty, it is applying for refugees and asylees green cards. It's something that our organization is very good at. It's something that we know on an expert level, and we're able to do, in a very quick, clean, and very high quality way. And the reason we decided to focus on this in part too is that because recall, refugees and asylees will be eligible for public benefits like SNAP again once they have a green card in hand. So not only is it a form of legal protection, but it will also allow our clients to receive much needed support.
Thanks. And I think I actually heard somebody say last week, nobody knows how to do refugee and green cards. So I just feel like it's such an important and unique service and so critical at this moment. But, I think our expertise, as you said, is very rare. So thanks for sharing that. And Henry, how about you? We'll go back to you.
We're focusing on diversifying our funding, really looking to rely less on federal funding and can build partnerships and work with contracting when building partnerships with employers that need support. So, for example, we have a program up here called ESOL for healthcare. And this is a really great program. It started in hospitals where we would go in and provide English classes for the hospital so that employees could earn while they learn. On their shifts, they would be allowed 2 hours to go to class. And it's really what we've discovered with this model is that it not only gives the employees great benefit because they're learning English to get into better paying healthcare career pathways, which the hospital desperately needs. There's a huge healthcare shortage. But also the residual benefits with the employer has been amazing in terms of recruitment and retention of employees. The staff feel invested, that their company is caring about them, investing in their careers. And then really what's been fascinating is just to watch the relationships between managers and staff who don't speak English. Traditionally, these are groups of people who go to work every day, don't really know what their managers are saying to them, don't really understand all the things that are happening. And what we've seen in a very short time, within a few months of starting these classes, the relationships get better, and they're really understanding their jobs. And so like for the hospital to see that, and it's been great. We just had a graduation yesterday with one of our partners. And now we're starting to get the program's been so successful that we're starting to get requests from other industries, so advanced manufacturing, biotech, because New Hampshire's an aging workforce. So really, refugees really check these boxes for our economy in terms of keeping people employed and keeping businesses here in the state so that they don't have to move away.
I recall that program won an innovation award this year. So that's so cool. And I actually don't know, how many people understand how much of a solution we are for employers in our regions. And Caroline, can you pick up on that?
Yeah, in Lowell, we also piloted a ESOL class in a nursing home in Massachusetts, which went really well. And we had 100% English level gain within that class. And everyone reported that they were better able to communicate with their managers. And it was a great success that we're hoping to continue this year and expand to other employers in Massachusetts. In Lowell, we are really working on focusing on employment, working with our clients that have arrived over the last 5 years to ensure they are securing higher paying jobs to be able to make ends meet. And this includes supporting clients with learning English. Many of our clients that arrive are pre-literate and arrived with no English. And we are working to expand our food delivery program to make sure all of our clients have access to food despite cuts to SNAP or food stamp funding. Our food delivery program delivers food to over 100 individuals each week. And we are working on applying to diversified programming to continue to support our clients and how to support them in reaching career, academic, and financial goals.
Thanks. And I mean, I think we all know how much harder it's getting to make ends meet across our communities. Hannah, can you talk about some of the transition services in Boston?
Sure. Well, one of the policy changes we didn't touch on yet was that in recent years, there was about a year of financial support for refugees, and now that's cut down to 4 months. So one thing that we're transitioning is expanding our English for employment classes so that we can have more hours in the classroom, more employment services support for individuals to get jobs and get better paying jobs as quickly as possible. And like Jeff said earlier, there are thousands of refugees that are already here and still need support to improve their quality of life. So not just folks that are brand new that need this help, but folks that have been here and still need to improve their skills, improve their English, perhaps get higher education. And so I'm thinking and kind of dreaming about being able to offer client-centered programming. Back during the first Trump administration, I was working at a different organization, and we had a grant through a private donor and a foundation that enabled us to work with refugees that have been here past their first job. We worked with people between 1 to 2 years, and they earned between $2 to $7 an hour more than folks that were served in the traditional refugee employment services program, because it was client-centered, based on their needs and what they said that they needed, not just the outcomes-based programs that the government funding offers.
Yeah. And just in terms of like improving quality of life, Jess, I go right to the shelter program, people actually moving from temporary and emergency housing into shelters. So can you talk a little bit about what's transitioned in the shelter program?
Sure. Similar to what Kiara said, we're doing as much as we can with less funding. The contract that allowed the resettlement agencies in Massachusetts to help move immigrants out of the shelter and into stable housing has ended, but we're still providing case management to most of those families, and that case management looks similar to what we provided for our refugee clients. Refers to ESOL, employment, financial literacy, budgeting, all of the support that we can provide to them. We've also been lucky to subcontract with a home-based provider. And under this contract, we're working with families that have been already placed into stable housing. And we're focused on supporting those families, whether it's connected with the communities that they live in. This is in many different cities and towns surrounding Boston, so they're spread out. So it's important that we're helping them connect with other resources, providers around them. And we're planning to provide to support up to hundreds of clients in that program, hundreds of families in that program.
I mean, I think everyone touched on how hard it is and how long it takes to get truly sort of your legs under you and sufficient in order to meet you and your family's needs. And it does sound like kind of across the board, we're helping people who are already here sort of better meet those needs. And maybe instead of so many people, we're deepening some of the services that people are in. Again, it can be surprising that it can take so long for people to get more integrated. But with all of that, and sort of on the similar note of the last question, what has been the biggest shift in how we do the work since like the start of this year? And Hannah, I'll start with you.
Sure. So, I mean, we have much fewer new arrivals. Usually there's a lot of hustle and bustle around making sure a new refugee arrival or family has everything that they need to get supported. So we've had fewer, and that has meant that we've been able to help folks that have been here, who've been here, within their last year. We're working toward longer term stabilization and self-sufficiency, especially given that public welfare benefits and things like that are going away and changing. We want to make sure our clients are self-sufficient and able to take care of themselves as quickly as possible, which is always the goal. But yeah, that's the biggest shift in Boston.
Thank you. Henry, how about New Hampshire?
Yeah, I agree with Hannah's take. We're focused on really keeping families stable and self-sufficient during this time. It's hard to argue a successful outcome. And so every family that we can keep off public assistance and keep them employed and keep them, their kids in school and do all the things that we can to make a family safe, that goes a long way to dilute the anti-refugee sentiment that's currently out there. So we're focused on that piece, just maintaining, getting people so that they are stable. And then it's a great opportunity to take folks who have been here for a while. They're employed, but perhaps at this point, as their English gets better, they're actually becoming underemployed because we can really put them on a career pathway that matches their skill set, their natural skill set, their interests, and really take advantage of that. So we're really moving people not only just for general employment, but into longer term careers that meet our state's needs for employment.
Well, it sounds like, although we love welcoming people and that's the heart of our mission, there's a silver lining to making the shift because it can deepen services for some people and maybe help them even more than we can every year. Kiara, how about for legal? What has changed this year?
Sure. I'm gonna stick to the theme of stability that everybody mentioned. We're really laser focused on securing permanent immigration status for our clients. As Hannah and Caroline mentioned, there were a lot of Haitians impacted by the cancellation of their parole status. So these are folks that entered through a legal program. I think it's important to note that was then revoked by the current administration. So it was kind of rapid response to see what we could do to support them and get them into a permanent status so that they can continue working, or how can we get them a new employment authorization document so that they can continue working. So that has been our main focus in legal.
Okay. And just to stick with you, I mean, it maybe is implied in what you've said, but what are, with all these different changes in immigration policy, what's the demand been like? And has that changed in legal services?
It has. The demand is massive. I guess I'll start with the rapid response. So as things are announced by the administration or things are changing, status is being revoked, TPS, which is temporary protected status, being canceled, we obviously are met with an influx of calls and emails from either current clients or potential clients, people looking for help. So the demand is massive. And that's in addition to the normal level of demand that we see. I would say what we are seeing is a lot of fear in immigrant communities. People are so scared. They're afraid to travel. They're afraid to leave their homes, even if they are here in a lawful status. It's widespread, and it's really, really difficult to calm those fears when people see things on the news or they hear things, and just a general, anti-immigrant, anti-refugee sentiment kind of out there. What we are also seeing quite a bit of, and is equally heartbreaking, calls from people trying to locate family members that were detained by ICE, and they can't find them on the detainee locator online or in the ICE database. We receive a lot of those calls, and unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do or anybody can do until those databases are updated. So that's been kind of a heartbreaking byproduct of this administration as well. But I would say the demand for legal services, it's increased exponentially. And again, we're trying to focus on what we can do and what we can do really well for the folks that are here.
Thank you. And just sort of picking up on that idea of heartbreaking, thank you each for sharing how significant shifts in policy has been in terms of affecting your clients. But just want to turn inward for a moment and ask, can you comment on how our own staff have been impacted?
Yeah.
Caroline.
In Lowell, many of our staff are Haitian, and some were personally affected by this change in status, either they themselves or their family members and friends.
No. Jess, how about you?
Yeah, same as Caroline. Our staff is primarily immigrants and refugees, and they're dealing with their own statuses, and we've lost staff due to status changing. And while they're dealing with that and their communities, they're also trying to support our clients with the same changes and the fear that they will no longer be able to work and rent. So it's just really tough.
Hannah, is it the same in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Jean Pierre earlier, actually wanted to mention about the legal services. He's someone that needed to apply for asylum, but there's no pro bono attorneys available, and he cannot afford a lawyer to work on an asylum case. So the way our staff is impacted by this is they're getting questions from clients that they've never received before, because in the past, our clients always had stable immigration statuses, their legal pathways were established, and now that changed overnight, and now their statuses are revoked. They can't go home because it's not safe to go home, but it's also not safe here anymore. And they're asking the staff what to do, which is an impossible question to answer. And it's really hard on the staff.
And Henry, are you having the same experience in New Hampshire?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think, just with everything, we touched upon, trauma just in general. And I think, we hire really amazing people. They're dedicated professionals. They want to do the best they can. They're forced to do more with less. And when people are reaching out and there's just nothing much they can do because their hands are tied. And I think that's really frustrating. And it adds tremendous amount of uncertainty for folks, as well as, just their own futures. And so, it's a very challenging time right now.
Yeah, and I totally agree. It's painful. And I also think our hearts go out to our nonprofit brothers and sisters who, across the board are having such extreme challenges with funding. And then, like you all said, having to be the front line in terms of explaining to people what's happening and maybe also the reduction in resources and support. So we're going to come into the end of the discussion of a couple more questions. And one is, we've talked about so many different things on this call, and a lot of the impact on our clients and our work going forward. But what is one thing that you wish more people understood about our work? And Kiara, I'll start with you again.
Sure. For me, it's that the people we're working with, our clients, are human beings. They are humans with families, with lives. They're just trying to live peacefully. They're not just numbers. I know even we internally get caught up in the numbers here at IINE because we want to do so much good, but these are actual human beings, and I think it's really important to take a step back and realize that, and realize the impact on a human level of what some of these policies have had, some of this rhetoric has had, and just how much it really impacts people on a human level, and just kind of take a moment to feel empathy. I think it's really important for everybody to hopefully take a step back and think about that.
Thanks for calling that out. Henry, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that this is a huge humanitarian crisis. What's happening? I mean, we respond to that anyway, but it's happening here inside our country, and real people, decent people, their lives hang in the balance, and they are powerless. But collectively, we are not. So I encourage people to stay informed, pay attention to what's happening, see something, say something, and vote, and really get involved. If you haven't met a refugee family, meet some. You'll find that they are just like us. And they want everything that anyone would want: a safe place to raise their kids, and to contribute, and to be successful, and to be part of a community.
Thank you. That was so well put. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail about how people can get involved in a few minutes. But let's go to Hannah.
I wish people understood, and I hope everyone does. These are people that followed all the rules. They came through a legal pathway. They willingly shared their information with the US government. They did everything right. And now in return, they're facing possible detention or even deportation.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Caroline.
Yeah, so today in a meeting, one of my staff members that's been here 30 years working at IINE shared that no 1 year or no 2 years has been the same, that, we're constantly dealt with changes, and in refugee resettlement, we have to adapt all the time. That being said, this year has had an increased level of uncertainty and fear, but I guess I have hope that we as IINE can adapt and adjust to these changes, just as we have over the last couple of years with the influx of Afghan arrivals and Haitian arrivals. So working to respond to the moment.
Great. Thank you. And I think, you know, each of you have been a part of really making the Institute a really, really powerful organization over the past couple of years. And it sounds like that work, like you said, is different year to year. But it sound like you're persevering in it. And I have just one last question. On that note of persevering, how can the community get involved and support immigrants and refugees this coming year? Hannah, boomerang back to you.
Great. Well, in Boston, we could definitely use some help with grocery gift cards or Uber gift cards and Charlie cards to help offset some of the cuts that we had in funding for those supports. If folks want to get involved in person, or even online, we have opportunities to volunteer in our English classes or in our job club. Or if you want to work really hands-on, help folks with public transportation practice, we'll have hopefully continue to have the slow stream of Afghans and hopefully other refugee arrivals. And then lastly, spread the word, because I'm dreaming of offering this program again that I offered in the first Trump administration to help folks with long-term stability programs. So long-term stability programs. So please spread the word so that we can raise what's needed to be able to offer that service in Boston.
Thank you. Sounds like there's still so much to support. Kiara, how about from your legal perspective?
Sure. From the legal perspective, I'd say advocate, stay informed, pay attention to what's going on, call your representatives, write letters, talk with your friends, with your family. Any sort of advocacy, any sort of informed knowledge is great. And just spreading that awareness, I think, is hugely helpful, in addition to donating.
Yes, I agree. All right, and Henry, we're gonna forward.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you're feeling frustrated, scared, outraged, you know, what all the emotions, whatever you're feeling, you know, helpless, this is a great way to push back respectively, get, you know, in a positive way, but get involved, volunteer, volunteer your time, donate, and really, you know, I think it's a good way to start to build something better. And, you know, you can do that right in your own community. And we are here. We would love to have any kind of capacity in any way that people want to join us and help us and, you know, support families that are really trying to make a difference in this country.
That's so well put. And I just want to thank each of you for being with us and sharing a little bit more about our work and clarifying and providing some detail into what's changing and how much we're doing to keep moving our communities forward and our clients forward. I'm going to invite Jeff back now, and we're going to open up the Q&A, and everybody, all our panelists can stay on, and I'll try to direct questions either directly to you or we can take turns answering. And then right after that, we'll do this for a few minutes, and then I'll get back on to share a few more details about how you can help, and then Jeff will close us out. So a first question: what does the government shutdown that was announced today mean for immigrants in your services? Jeff, we're going to give that to you.
All right, so yeah, as soon as we got news of this, I contacted our state offices, and we have been told by our state offices that the International Institute of New England receives some funding directly from our national office called the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants, and some federal funding that goes through the states. The states have told us they can still draw down funding weekly, and there's no change in that. So we have set contracts for many of our services, and that funding at this point in time is not going to be interrupted. The federal government shutdown, however, could and would likely cause some problems for our clients if they can't get access to the services and support they need. So that's what we know at this time. And things could change with this administration at a dime.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Jeff. And I'm just looking at the time, we have just 5 minutes, so I'm gonna take one more question, and then talk a little bit about other ways to help. And I can start by answering this question too. I think, given the strains on resettlement agencies across the country due to federal funding cuts, closures, program reductions, how is IINE planning to sustain service delivery, especially in areas like youth, shelter, and emergency support? And I'll just take a shot at this, and anyone else wants to chip in. Great question. And thank you for having this on your mind. These are incredibly important areas of our work. And like everyone has shared tonight, we're trying to deepen some of these areas because this is some of the most vulnerable parts of our communities, our youth, people in shelters, people who are so close to not being able to make ends meet that they need food. But it's also some of the areas where we see the most resilience from our clients and also from our community. So I would say, this is one of the reasons why private funding and philanthropy is so important, is that on a good day, government grants don't cover all of our expenses and certainly don't cover all of the needs that our clients have. And so private funding helps make up the difference. And moving forward, we're just going to need more and more support from communities to be able to deliver services and hopefully continue to expand into the areas where clients are seeking with the most support. And I'll also just say, states like Massachusetts and the wonderful staff in New Hampshire and the state programs that deliver some funding and are partnered with us are also really critical to helping us move forward in some of our programs forward. So I would, encourage everyone on the call to really, understand the federal government provides so much of our resources, but there is some specific state support that's also really critical to us. And that combines with private philanthropy and helps us meet our mission every year. Does anyone else want to add before I move to closing?
I can answer really quickly. There was a question that was asking about the misconceptions people have about the communities we're serving right now. And I'll say really briefly, I think there's a misconception that these folks are eating up resources and, taking some resources away from folks that are Americans. But in reality, they're such assets to our community. They're entrepreneurs. They open storefront businesses on our main streets. They contribute billions of dollars in tax revenue. So that's one misconception that I hear pretty often.
Great, thank you so much for clarifying that. And so I'm going to thank you again, and I will see you soon, panelists, my colleagues. And I'm just going to share a little bit more about how you can help, and then we're going to ask Jeff to close this out. So we need people like you on the call to ensure that refugees and immigrants living and trying to survive and even thrive, even in this environment in our communities, can continue to find support and opportunity. There's many different ways to make a difference, but the single most important, and I often hear people say, I want to do more than give money. First, give money. I say that because even being able to organize and manage and support a volunteer program takes us resources to do. And one of our favorite things to do is invite our and volunteers into this work. So please don't underestimate how much even $5 can make to our organization. You can donate to support immigrant families by scanning the QR code that's right on this screen, like right now, if you want. We're also always looking for monthly donation subscribers because as our clients are less and less supported by the federal government, so is our organization. And so to be able to continue to serve them, we need more support and more consistent support. So that's one way. Number two, volunteering. And we've talked a little bit about this, and you've heard from our senior program leadership how much we rely on our volunteers. There's so many opportunities. They range in commitment from a single afternoon to a longer engagement. You can help provide ESOL support. You can help work with youth in our youth programs, support volunteers in packing and delivering food, practice with our clients in job interviews, so many things. And I'm gonna go really quickly now because we're at time. Using your voice, help get involved and advocate. We have an advocacy page on our website. Please check it out. And then one more thing, a special opportunity that we have for you, and that is joining our Leadership Council. Our Leadership Council members act as important ambassadors for the organization. They learn more about our work and our clients than anybody else other than our board. They reach out to their own networks to connect us. Many of them are in the audience tonight, and we thank them for that. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how the Leadership Council works and how to become more deeply involved in the organization, please reach out to me, aweber@iine.org. So with that, I'm going to invite Jeff back to close us.
Thank you, Zan. Thanks to the panel and thanks to everyone who helped organize today's webinar. Many, many thanks to all the people that joined us today. We need your support. A lot of people are asking, what can we do? I think Zan outlined it well. Donate, volunteer, use your voice, consider our Leadership Council, and remember that this region, New England, cannot grow, thrive, or succeed without immigrants and refugees. We need people to come here to live in our communities, to help them to grow. And the International Institute of New England is a source for new people, and it's a source of strength for communities across the region. So thank you so much for joining us and for your support, and we hope to see you very soon.